All right, so these are some tactical things. Interfering with another boat. If reasonably possible, a boat not racing shall not interfere with a boat that is racing. So what is the definition of racing? When do you start racing?
At warning.
4-minute signal, warning. So that means if you're sailing multiple fleets, as soon as that 4-minute gun goes off in a normal start, you need to keep clear if you're not in that start. If you've finished, you need to keep clear of the boats that haven't finished. Don't interfere with them. Pretty straightforward, very nice manners. And if reasonably possible, a boat shall not interfere with a boat that is taking a penalty, sailing on another leg, or subject to Rule 22.1. However, after her starting signal rule does not apply when the boat is sailing its proper course. So it's saying if I'm going upwind and you're coming downwind, I can't chase after you to try and slow you down. Tactically in a race, I can slow you down if you're on the same leg if I'm trying to put boats between us in the series, but I can't do that once we're on opposite legs. Go through some other basics, and this is just some highlights of stuff that's generally new or misunderstood. So first one is new this year is a U flag rule. So we know what the I flag rule is, 1-minute rules in effect. The Z flag, if you're over, you get a 20% penalty after you reround. The black flag, you're disqualified, and if the race is resailed, you're just still disqualified. The U flag is black flag light. It looks like that, red and white squares. And the black flag rule is that if you're over early in the minute beforehand, defined by the triangle between the windward mark and the two ends of the line, then you're disqualified. And if the race is postponed or abandoned, when it's resailed, you're still disqualified. You can't go again. Or if there's a general recall, you can't go again. So the U flag rule you don't carry that penalty if it's restarted or resailed. So it's black flag light. All the penalty of the black flag, but if the race goes sour and they abandon it, or if there's a general recall, you get to go again. Touching a mark. While racing, a boat shall not touch a starting mark before starting, a mark that begins, bounds, or ends the leg of a course on which she is sailing, or the finishing mark after finishing. So don't touch a mark. Now let's go talk about, we're going upwind. The offset's pretty low, and we tag the offset as we're headed to the windward mark. Is that something that I need to do a penalty for? Does it begin, bound, or end the leg that I'm sailing? Not if I'm still going to the windward mark and I sail by the offset and tag it. Because it doesn't begin, bound, or end my leg. So that's the one little exception. So the next one is shortening or abandoning after the start. So after a starting signal, the race committee may shorten the course by displaying flag S with 2 sounds, abandon the race, which is display N over H or N over A with 3 sounds, for the following reasons. Because of foul weather, because of insufficient wind making it unlikely that any boat will finish in the time limit, because a mark is missing or out of position, or for any other reason directly affecting the safety or fairness of that competition. So, after the starting signal, does it say before the finishing signal? So you can abandon a race after some or all boats have finished for those reasons as the race committee. And I've actually seen it 3 times this year that boats have finished and they've abandoned the race. In addition, the race committee may shorten the course so that other scheduled races can be sailed, or abandon the race because of an error in the starting procedure. However, if one boat has sailed the course and finished within the time limit, if any, the race committee shall not abandon the race without considering the consequences for all boats in the race or series. So it's saying there's a little more burden. If the race is finished, you have to consider what's going to happen to everybody if you're going to abandon that after the fact. So what happens with a shortened course? This has been changed through the years, so let's talk about it and how it's important. So for starters, you signal shortened course by displaying flag S with 2 sounds. And the finish line shall be immediately at the rounding mark between the mark and the staff displaying flag S. So if we're coming up to a windward mark, and right before the first boat gets there, the S goes up with 2 horns, the finish line is between that flag and the nearby mark. A line that on the course that requires the boats to cross, that would be like a distance race where you have to go through a gate somewhere in the middle of the course, or at the gate between the gate marks. So if it's at the bottom of the course, the finish is between the 2 marks. The shortened course shall be signaled before the first boat crosses the finish line. This isn't something that you do a leg ahead of time and it's going to happen way up there. The guidance is you do that right before the first boat arrives. So
are you saying that they could just
end it.
knock the leg down and say, hey, just finish, it's over?
Correct. Yep. But for the reason, because of foul weather, because of insufficient wind, because a mark is missing, or for something else affecting safety or fairness. What's the great thing if you don't know what shortened course means? If you see this flag and you had no idea what it means, and you sail the course normally, did you finish? Yeah, because if you rounded the windward mark and you ended it there, you've finished. If you went through the gate and went the other way, you've finished. So this rule is written so even if you're confused by what that flag and those horns means, you still finish the race.